What's up, insiders? It's your host, A to the P, Albert Perkins. Here's what we have on tap for today's Insider Today. Palworld had an absolutely incredible weekend. We'll be talking extensively about the game and the developments surrounding the game as well. We also have developments on other happenings in and around the industry, including a report on how this may be the year of closures for video game companies, according to a new report. It's another day of jam-packed news, so let's not waste any time and get you on the inside. Palworld has continued to break records as the game has now sold 5 million copies in just 3 days. This puts it in line with some of the fastest selling games in the past year, including games like Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Again, this has gone down, guys, in just 3 days. Yesterday, Palworld became the second highest played paid game on Steam in the service's history, accumulating a player base that peaked at 1,291,967 players. And it seems like there's no slowing things down, as there were over 1 million players playing concurrently earlier on in the day as well. So with this kind of success, there have been some server outages, of course, as one would come to expect, but developers have reassured that they are actively working on connectivity issues. Palworld is available right now on PC and the Xbox Series consoles. On the negative side of things, Palworld has been receiving death threats. According to multiple people from the developer Pocket Pair, both developers as well as artists of the game have been receiving death threats. The threats seem to stem from allegations against the game being a ripoff of Pokémon. A quote from the community manager said this on X, the site formerly known as Twitter. Quote, "Frantically working through all my DMs and emails, I promise. However, you'll excuse me if I skip over the death threats to the company, and massively outlandish claims," unquote. Another quote from the studio's CEO also took to the platform to condemn the threats, stating the following, quote, "Currently, we are receiving slanderous comments against our artists, and we are seeing tweets that appear to be death threats. I have received a variety of opinions regarding Palworld, but all productions related to Palworld are supervised by multiple people, including myself, and I am responsible for the production. I would appreciate it if you would refrain from slandering the artist involved in Palworld," unquote. Now guys, it remains to be seen if these threats are indeed continuing at the time of this publication. However, death threats have no place in this industry and should never take place. With that said though, the question can still be asked, did Palworld plagiarize Pokémon? Since the game launched, multiple people took to social media comparing the art designs of the two franchises, and while we have not heard back from Pocket Pair after reaching out multiple times for comment, as well as Nintendo and Game Freak who declined to comment on the matter, the Japanese publisher Automation stated that the game cleared all of its legal reviews ahead of the launch, saying in part, "We make our games very seriously and have absolutely no intention of infringing upon the intellectual property of other companies." Do you guys think the Palworld is copied from Pokémon? Let us know your thoughts on the matter down in the comments below. So guys, it's no secret that 2023 was a rough one in the video game industry in terms of layoffs. More than 10,000 developers were laid off around the world in 2023, with some studios closing entirely, even some that were open for decades. It was no doubt a stressful time, and according to a new report from GamesIndustry.biz, it has now been revealed that senior stakeholders within the industry are bracing for a tougher year in 2024. According to the report, one CEO stated, "If 2023 was a year of layoffs, 2024 will be the year of closures." Not just developers, but publishers, media, service companies. There are just too many unprofitable businesses in video games. We're looking at up to 2 years of pain. A rocky landscape is certainly being presented to everyone involved in the industry at this point. One stakeholder explained that developers are doing too many things that aren't delivering. There are plenty of titles that have made their way to market, but only a small percentage of them are seeing success. What are your thoughts on the state of the industry? Hit us up and let us know. Cyberpunk 2 devs are now considering multiplayer elements for the game. In the follow-up to Cyberpunk 2077, it only seems natural for the next iteration to include multiplayer aspects, right? In a recent interview with Reuters, one of the heads of CD Projekt Red said that the company is indeed considering adding multiplayer elements to Project Orion Cyberpunk 2, but he didn't give any more insight from there. It could be interesting to see how these elements would play out in the game. Perhaps we could see traditional open world co-op, or perhaps a side-by-side extraction shooter. There's a lot of possibilities, but I'm here for it and would love to see how things open up. Stay tuned. And CD Projekt Red is also set to start work on development of The Witcher Polaris this year. In the same interview, CD Projekt Red stressed that the company wants to have around 400 people working on Polaris within the next 6 months. The last Witcher title was back in 2015, The Witcher 3. That game is still immensely popular today, but fans have patiently been waiting for the next iteration of the franchise. And now it looks like fans won't have to wait much longer for fresh news on this title. All right, insiders, let's go ahead and recap everything that we've discussed on today's show. Palworld has continued to break records as the game has now sold 5 million copies in just 3 days. Yesterday, Palworld became the second highest paid played game on Steam in the service's history, accumulating a player base that peaked at 1,291,967 players. There's no slowing things down as there were over 1 million concurrent players in the game earlier on in the day as well. With that success, there have been outages, but the devs remain committed to stomping out any issues that arise. On the negative side of things, Palworld has been receiving death threats. According to multiple people from the developer Pocket Pair, both developers as well as artists from the game have been receiving multiple death threats. The threats seem to stem from allegations against the game being a rip off of Pokémon. Again, the threats have been aimed at a lot of folks holding no prejudice, including community managers, artists, as well as developers. But did Palworld plagiarize? Multiple people took to social media comparing the art designs of the two franchises, Palworld and Pokémon. Now, the publisher stated in part, "We make our games very seriously, and we have absolutely no intention of infringing upon the intellectual property of other companies." 2023 was a rough year of layoffs within the video game industry, and if one report claims to be true, that trend will continue not only today, but also leading into the next few years. According to the report, one CEO stated if 2023 was the year of layoffs, 2024 will be the year of closures, not just for developers, but publishers, media, and service companies. There are just too many unprofitable businesses in video games. And a couple updates from developer CD Projekt Red's to Reuters, first on Cyberpunk 2077, as that game may in fact incorporate multiplayer elements. Additionally, CD Projekt Red is also set to start development on The Witcher Polaris this year. For complete details on all of these stories right now, make sure you guys head on over to insidergaming.com. As always, I'm of course your host with the most, A to the P, Albert Perkins, and we will see you on the inside.